This video is to show how to use just macros with the ATEM to create lower super straps without the need for an external graphics renderer. We've got a set of clips queued up on our renderer, so if we bring those up. In previous videos we've done 2D straps, which are simple flash animations loaded using Casper CG and played out using a Detlink card. And we'll move to our next clip. We've also done kind of 3D effects using the animation pre-rendered in After Effects and again played out using Casper CG. However, with a lightweight ATEM mixer setup, it's useful to still be able to do lower super straps without having the need to have an external CG. So if we look at that strap, then you can see that what we've done there is fade on a solid block with some text on it, and faded it off again. If we do that again, but this time focus on the computer screen, then you'll see that how that's being faded on is using the transition control, and you'll notice the background is taken out and then put back in. That ensures that whatever we've got on TX stays on TX while we're transitioning the key on and off. So where does that strap come from? If we have a look at the script that created it, I think it's the script, Bikes Underground. So the top of the script defines the constants that are used to draw the image. So we define the font color, size, the strap, the size, the key level, the speed at which it comes in and out, and where the settings on the mixer that we're going to use. We've then got a section which sets up the mixer, sets up the transition the way we want it to be able to bring our strap on. The new bit is here. This is rendering our strap. So you can see that it starts out by defining two temporary file names. It then creates two in-memory images, defines the three colours that we're going to be using. That's the colour of the strap, the colour of the font, and the level of transparency or opacity. We then render the fill with just 3 lines of Lua code. First of all, we draw a fill rectangle at the location, and then we write some text at a very similar location. Slight calculation there to work out where to do it, and then we save the file to the disk. We then do the same process for the key, although obviously we're not recording any text on the key. So if we look at that on TX, if we put the media player 1 on, you can see there is our fill and there is the key. If we just look at the bottom part of the script, you'll see that it's uploaded just with a single line of text and passing the mixer number, which will always be 1, the media player index where we want to store our image, and the 2 images which will get combined to create one 32-bit RGBA image. And then we just we delay for the amount of time it takes to upload, and we auto transition to bring the strap on, wait for a certain amount of time, and auto transition to take it off again. We've then got a slight wait for the transition to take effect, and we put the transition back to be a background as well. So if we go back to our clips, have one last look at that one. See, it fades in and fades out. If we look at our next clip, we'll see it's the Thames, and we go up here. This effect works in a very similar way. Again, we're rendering it. This time we're rendering 2 lines of text instead of 1. We'll just have a quick look at how that's done. Simply we added a 4th line or a 3rd line, the same as the previous text writing line, slightly different calculation to work out where to put it. The other thing you'll notice about that one is that it appears to be wiping on. That's because we've changed the transition to a wipe, and it's set to flip-flop so that it wipes on in one direction and off in another. If we go to our next clip, this example is only really applicable to users of the 1 and 2 MEs, because it uses the DVE or the fly on a key to fly it in from the left hand side of the screen. Just bring it on, display it for the same amount of time, and then fly it back off to the left. Okay. So if we go to our next clip, we've got some guys doing oysters. This strap is to illustrate that again we can fly on a strap, this time a 2-line strap, and you'll also notice the opacity or the transparency had been set there. If we just go over that, exactly how that works, have a look at the oyster script. We define the opacity somewhere, strap key level. It's just one value, although what actually happens is that when we define our colour, we use the same value for red, green and blue, which just eventually means we get a 24-bit image in grayscales. The ATEM Mixer Media Store upload still will take the grayscale image and average out the colour, so you could pass a colour image and it will grayscale it and use it as a key. Okay. Okay, our next example is also going to be, if we bring the key up on here, we'll actually see it running. So this example is here, and you see it comes on from the right hand side. It's flown in again using the DVE, but when it goes out it drops out to the bottom. The reason for that is that in this demo, if I find the right point, you'll see that when we're setting up the mixer, we initially move the key off screen to the bottom at 100% of its size and then store its location. But before we put it on air, we move it off screen to the right hand side of the screen, which allows us to bring it on using a key fly to full and taking it off by running it out to its location. If we just run it again, we're looking at the right key. No. So there's our key fly, and we'll just run it again. You'll see it quickly sets up and then drops off its Y position. Also introduced in this version of Just Macros is a dialog system built in. So if we make Just Macros the focus and select macro 5, you'll see a new window is opened on the screen. It's a 2-line text entry dialog, and it says what type of fish is it, and we'll answer that. It's a puffer fish, something like that. And what's it doing? Spinning on a string. Enter. And you see, with the minimum number of key presses, I've been able to create a strap and put it on air almost immediately. And if we can go to the next clip, and there's also a 1-line box entry. Again, I've preloaded these with silly questions. Why does this dog have a hat? Really, no one knows. And again, just an enter, and we've flown the strap in this time, and it's as dynamic as that. And finally, we should have a look at this demo, where what we've done here is we've used a pre-rendered or a pre-existing JPEG file as the backdrop to the strap. And I'm sure you noticed the fantastic Jokerman font, which is massively underused in my opinion. How this works is when we create our 2 images, one as our working fill and working key which we're going to draw on, we also create a third image, but not from scratch this time. Instead we create it from a file on the disk, create from JPEG, and the constant sample picture BG holds the path to that JPEG file. When we're actually drawing the strap, we draw it using the copy resized function, so we supply the background as a parameter to that function and draw it on the working image, which is our fill, and it's resized when it does that. Okay, it's flown in. Let's just look at it one more time. The one thing to notice is it's slightly slower to upload that, or slightly slower to render it, but not appreciably so, and that should allow people to build many types of straps. And to show the HTML side, we can fade to black using a mobile phone.